In a world full of superheroes, humanity can't just rely on good-natured people with superpowers to protect them from superpowered villains. So, every city has a superpowered police department. It's always pretty understaffed, usually with only about 3 to 5 superheroes per city. And Christian, joining the superhero corps of his city's police department, he's really excited to make a difference. The chief was giant, as big as 2 people, sitting like this on his desk, completely relaxed. It was clear from every movement of the chief that he had super strength. He was one of the strongest superpower police officers on Earth. "So, you want to be in our department?" the chief said. "I have the job," Christian said. "Whatever," the chief said, waving his hand. "I'm going to give you a couple assignments. The other guys will keep you in line. Just remember, it's your first year. Do whatever I say. And protect people," Christian said. The chief chuckled a little bit. "Yeah, sure, kid." Christian's first assignment was guarding a billionaire's wife. She had a really amazing gala full of beautiful people. Christian stood in his costume and police uniform, watching all the people go by. "See, darling," the woman said, going up to Christian and putting her hand on his chest. "We managed to invest in a superpowered cop to protect us." "Wow," one of her friends said, raising an eyebrow. "Protecting and serving. What do you do?" "I control liquid, sir," Christian said. "Happy to serve." He knew that his first night on the force was being wasted. This event had plenty of security and no supervillains were going to attack. And yet, Christian, when he watched the woman dance with her husband not there, he smiled a little bit. He was doing what the chief told him to do, even though there was no action. As the event dragged on, Christian was very bored. He pulled some of the drink out of a champagne glass and made it dance around into beautiful shapes. "Oh, bravo," the billionaire's wife said, running up and putting her hand on Christian's arm. "Do it again, Officer Liquid." Officer Liquid was Christian's superhero name. He hated it. The chief gave it to him while smirking. "Stand back," Christian said, putting his hand out. He pulled all the drinks out of the water and made them dance above the crowd. Everybody's eyes were completely engrossed, and Christian smiled a little bit. Sure, he was using his superpowers for something other than protecting people, but this was fun. This was him using his gifts, and maybe to a certain extent, he is making a difference. "Hold still," one of the guests said, and he shocked Christian with a taser. Christian dropped the water, landing all over the guests. Christian turned around. "What the hell, sir?" The man put his hands up, holding the taser. "You got me, I'm just having a little fun," he chuckled. The billionaire's wife was completely drenched in liquid, and she was horrified. "I'm telling your boss," the billionaire's wife said. And Christian put his hand up. "That's perfectly fine, ma'am, to file a complaint." He used water to form handcuffs around the man's hands and then froze the handcuffs, taking him prisoner. "What are you doing?" the man said. "I was just having a little fun." "It's against the law, sir," Christian said, putting him into the back of his squad car. The chief went ballistic. "Rick Thistledown? You arrested Rick Thistledown?" "Sir, he broke the law. He assaulted me with a taser," Christian said. "Listen to me very closely, kid," the chief said. "You do not arrest the rich people that hire us to watch their events." "What do you mean, hire us?" Christian said. "Oh, get a grip," the chief said. "You seriously think that our job is to protect and serve? Payment," the chief pointed to his gold Rolex on his wrist. "That's what we're here for." Christian hung his head in shame. He walked the streets in street clothes, watching the people go by. No one knew that he was a superhero, and his first day on the force was not what he expected. He thought that he was here to help people, to stop superpowered threats, but that wasn't the case. When Christian suited up for his next day on the job, he found all of his clothes from his locker had been mysteriously taken. "What's the matter, buddy?" one of his colleagues said, slamming the door with super strength. "Did your clothes get a little wet?" One of his other colleagues floated over using telekinesis. "Yeah, I guess they just up and walked away." "What's your superpower again? Making clothes walk away?" Christian grit his teeth. "Leave me alone. Last warning." "Oh yeah, buddy?" The superpowered cop pushed him against the lockers with super strength. "You think you're in any position to give warnings, pal? You make little drinks float in the air and you make out with some billionaire's wife." "I did not," Christian said. "What are you talking about?" "That's not what I heard," the other cop said. You don't treat us right and do what we say, and we can make life very hard for you. Trust me, buddy." The floating cop went right into Christian's face. "If you don't play ball, things are gonna get really, really bad." Christian wasn't intimidated by the cops. He filed a complaint with the city, with internal affairs of the police department, and was getting prepared to do an interview with the city's biggest newspaper, talking about the corruption of the city's superpowered police force. As he took a shower and prepared to go to his interview, the shower curtain ripped open. The chief, standing huge, punched him in the face. Christian's head cracked against the wall of the shower, and he bled into the water, his blood going down the drain. "Sir," Christian said. "Don't sir me," the chief said. "You've been making a big stink to internal affairs, and if you talk to that reporter, things are going to end very poorly for you." Christian struggled to his feet. He felt the water in the pipes. He knew that he could defend himself if he wanted to, but he didn't want to. This was his boss. They were supposed to help people, and he was standing over him in the shower, intimidating him. Christian grit his teeth. "This is not how the superpowered department is supposed to be run," he said. "I am doing that interview, and if you," the chief smiled. "You hear that, boys?" The two other cops, the floating one and the super strong one, looked into the shower. Christian's heartbeat quickened. He knew now that this wasn't just hazing or a stern talking to. The chief chuckled. "Yeah, I heard that the new recruit Christian went rogue. He actually was a supervillain in disguise." "Yeah," the other cop said. "I even heard he tried to kill all of us, and we had to kill him in self-defense." Christian put his hands up, but it was too late. The chief punched him in the face, breaking his skull. Pain exploded in his face, and it was too late. The floating cop made him float in the air as the two super strong heroes pummeled him, punching into his body. He felt his organs rip apart, his bones crack, and Christian screamed, using all the water in the pipes. Icicles rained down from every single shower head into the cops' bodies. And suddenly, the floating cop and the super strong cop were dead, and the chief was bleeding on the floor. Christian panted, standing over the chief. He put his hands out. He said, "You're going to jail. Get into the prison cell before you—" "Alert! Alert!" the chief said. "Officers down! Officers down!" the chief said, screaming. It was an incredible performance, his voice full of fear. "Officer Christian went rogue. 2 officers dead. Come in." The entire police department's sirens started ringing. Christian knew that he had to get out of here. He was hurt. He could barely walk, and yet he had to keep going. He left the chief in the showers with the 2 dead bodies that he killed. He struggled down the hallway as hundreds of officers in superpowered gear surrounded him, pointing guns at him. Christian tried to explain in his towel to the cops what was happening. "No, you don't understand," he said to the police officers as they trained. "Aim, boys," he said. No, they're corrupt. They're not being police officers. Threats in the city are getting worse. Don't you—" "Fire," the officer said. In the moment of firing, Christian raised his arm. All of the officers, the blood in their veins caused them to point their guns at the ceiling, and Christian froze them where they stood, freezing the blood in their veins. They were completely fine, but Christian knew it was only a matter of time before they came after him. His powers weren't that strong. He couldn't control that much water at once. He pulled his superpowered costume on, left his badge on the chief's desk, and left. The newspaper reporter was impeccably dressed, looking at his watch. And Christian, covered in blood and sopping wet from the shower, sat down across from him in his superpowered costume. "So, you want to hear what's going on with the superpowered division of the police department?" Christian said. "What do you want to know? I'll answer everything." It was an incredible sight to see the chief getting arrested, to see every news station blare the issues of the corruption. Even superheroes from outside the city volunteered their time to help, knowing that the superpowered division in the city was completely broken. But there was one silver lining that Christian saw. The police chief of the entire city, above the superhero department, put a medal around Christian's neck. "The position's yours if you want it," the chief said. "Chief of the superpowered division." Christian looked down at the medal and looked at the chief. He raised an eyebrow. "You knew what was happening with the superpowered units. You're only giving me this position because you know that it can silence me and the entire department won't go down. There should be riots in the street for all the corruption your department has." The chief nodded and lit a cigarette. He looked at Christian in the eyes. "Do you know how terrified I am of you, son?" Christian took a step back. You've been controlling water like this since you were a little kid, right?" "Yeah," Christian said. "Do you know what it's like to be a normal person? Do you know how I felt when that big galoot chief was walking around here calling himself the king of the entire department? What would you have done if you were a normal person in my position?" Christian sat down, looking at the medal around his chest. It looked cheap. Plastic. "Yes, I made mistakes," the chief said. but I'm giving you an opportunity here. I've seen your record. You want to be a superpowered policeman for your whole life. The department's yours, son. Build it the right way. And even though Christian felt dirty, even though Christian had almost died, even though he could barely stand up, Christian met the police chief's eyes. Okay, Christian said. Avalanche chuckled. This city is mine. And he turned the entire bay of the city into a giant glacial avalanche, shooting it towards all the people in the city. Normally on the beach, people were in bikinis and bathing suits, but now they were running for their lives, terrified. Stop right there, Christian said. He put his hand out, turning the avalanche into harmless water, falling onto the beach. Superheroes? Avalanche said, turning to face Christian, looking at his uniform. Policeman, Christian said, smirking. You're under arrest.